So good morning, everybody. I speak a little bit of English. So just let you know what we're gonna do. It's very difficult for me to translate for myself. So like just to preach in Italian and translate along the way. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to preach the sermon in Italian, and then I'll repeat most of it in English, probably not all of it. I know you're probably getting to that or you already in. Okay, if you're a little bit jet lagged, so if you fall asleep, you'll definitely forgive me for that during the Italian part, but you have to be awake. And the Italian part, it won't be more than 2 hours, I'm sure. Anyway, so thank you. We're so glad you guys are being here. So just be patient for a little while, please, and then I'll repeat the lesson. So this morning, we actually are starting a new study in Hebrews. We're actually studying Hebrews chapter 11, the list of the faithful. And the lesson today comes from Hebrews chapter 11, verses 30 and 31. So on this list of the faithful, we have names that are obvious, right? We have Enoch, we have Abraham, we have Jacob, we have Abel. Names that, when you think of very faithful people from the New Testament, or from the Old Testament rather, these names would immediately come to mind. But then there's a name that's extremely surprising, at least to me, in Hebrews 11 and verse 30 and 31. In verse 30, the Bible says in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 30, by faith the walls of Jericho fell down after they were encircled for 7 days. Now, there's not a name in this verse, but an event, right? And this event, again, is an event in which the people had a lot of faith. Okay, so that's not surprising that this event would be listed. But then right after that, it says, by faith, the harlot Rahab did not perish with those who did not believe when she had received the spies with peace. By faith, Rahab, the harlot. So in this list of faithful people, you have a woman who is singled out as being faithful, but also being a prostitute. That's very surprising to me, especially when you read the verse after that. And what more shall I say? Verse 32. For the time would fail me to tell of Gideon and Barak and Samson and Jephthah, also David and Samuel and the prophets. Look, I don't have time to talk to you about David and Samuel and the prophets, but I want to mention this prostitute. That's incredible to me. Not only that, she's mentioned another time in the New Testament as being a person of faith in James chapter 2 and verse 25, James writes, likewise, was not Rahab the harlot also justified by works when she received the messengers and sent them out another way? So in this context, James is talking about the importance of faith and works and how we're justified by the two when they come together. And he uses as his example Rahab. And again, he mentions that she was a prostitute. It's incredible to me. She's mentioned one other time in the New Testament, which is in the genealogy of Jesus in Matthew chapter 1 and verse 2, or sorry, I think it's verse 3, she's mentioned. There's only 5 women mentioned in the genealogy of Jesus. And faithful woman. Now, one of the things about this is, you might have heard me say this in when I was doing the Italian part, that, in baseball, we have 3 strikes and you're out. Well, this is a woman who were looked down on in the first century. You think sexism is bad today? We'll go back to the first century. Not only was she a woman, she was not a Jew. She was a Canaanite. So she was a foreigner. And Jews don't typically have a lot of respect, at least at that time, for foreigners. And then number 3, she was a prostitute. This is the last person you would think would find their name on a list of the faithful. Okay, so James told us what she did. He told us that she received the spies and sent them out another way. She did these spies, right? Let's go to Joshua chapter 2 now and read how she did, okay? And I see some of you going like this. So I know this is difficult, but we'll be done in just a few minutes. Go to Joshua chapter 2. Joshua chapter 2. And I'm going to start reading in verse 1. Now Joshua the son of Nun sent out 2 men from Achai Grove to spy secretly, saying, go view the land, especially Jericho. So they went and came to the house of a harlot. Again, there's that word, named Rahab, and lodged there. And it was told the king of Jericho, saying, behold, men have come here tonight from the children of Israel to search out the country. So the king of Jericho sent to Rahab, saying, bring out the men who have come to you, who have entered your house, for they have come to search out all the country. Then the woman took the 2 men and hid them. So she said, yes, the men came to me. So far, so good. She's telling the truth. But I did not know where they were from. Okay, that's a lie. She knew where they were from. And it happened as the gate was being shut, she continues, when it was dark, that the men went out. Again, not true. Where the men went, I don't know. Yes, she does. Pursue them quickly, for you may overtake them. But she had brought them out to the roof and hidden them with the stalks of flax, which she had laid in order on the roof. Then the men pursued them by the road to the Jordan, to the fords, and as soon as those who pursued them had gone out, they shut the gate. Now, what do we have here? We have this woman who's a prostitute, and she's lying to protect these 2 men. Now, this has been debated for at least 2,000 years. People have debated what this lie teaches us, because she's used specifically for this event as an example of the faithful, okay? And so people say, well, does that mean we can lie if it's going to protect somebody else? Okay, that's the question that's been debated for centuries, and nobody's ever going to come to a satisfactory answer, okay? What's interesting about that is the Bible doesn't seem to care about it. What do I mean by that? We've debated this, again, for millennia. But the Bible never talks about it. The Bible reports that she lied. It tells the truth that she lied. But then there's never a judgment on that fact, ever, in the Bible. Not once do they say, well, she shouldn't have done that, or yes, you should do this in this situation. No, the Bible doesn't say, it just reports the fact, okay? I think an important part of that lesson is what happens next. In verse 8. Now, before they lay down, she came up to them on the roof and said to the men, I know that the Lord has given you the land, that the terror of you has fallen on us, and that all the inhabitants of the land are faint-hearted because of you. For we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to the 2 kings of the Amorites who were on the other side of the Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom you utterly destroyed. And as soon as we heard these things, our hearts melted. Neither did there remain any more courage in anyone because of you. For the Lord your God, who is he? He is God in heaven above and on earth beneath. Now, therefore, I beg you, swear to me by the Lord, since I have shown you kindness, that you will also show kindness to my father's house and give me a true token, and spare my father, my mother, my brothers, my sisters, and all that they have, and deliver our lives. So what we find out in these verses, she knew a little bit about God. She knew just enough to believe that he existed, that he was powerful, and that he had control over the situation. That's all she knew. See, she lied. It's very unlikely she knew that that was wrong. She was a prostitute. Guess what? Prostitutes lie. Okay? And drug dealers lie. That's what they do. And she just acted in a way that would be normal for her, based on the knowledge that she had of God. Now, whether or not that lie is justified to save a life, that's another question for another day. The point, though, of the story is she made a faith decision based on the information that she had. She had just a little bit of information, but it was enough to make her a hero of the faith. It was enough to make her say, I know that this God is the God of heaven and the God of earth. And I know that I want to be on his side. I don't know exactly how to do that. She'll learn eventually. Eventually, she probably converted to Judaism because she married a Jewish man and became a great ancestor of our Lord. So what's the point? The point isn't whether or not she is justified in her life. The point is act on your faith based on what information you have. That's the point of the story. And if you do that, God will bless you. God is a fair judge, and He's not He's not going to punish you for doing something you didn't know about. Now, we have all the information in my phone and also in the Bible, okay? We have all the information. And there is an expectation that you will grow in your knowledge of God. So you might not know something isn't right today or is wrong today, but you don't have that excuse tomorrow and the next day and the next if God allows your life to continue. And you continue. He has the expectation that you will continue to grow. And actually, in the letter to the Hebrews, where we have this information about Rahab, the Hebrews writer tells them in chapter 5 that they're like babies, and they need to grow up, and they need to learn more about God. So yes, Rahab, her faith, which was really great based on a little bit of information, justified her, saved her life. But there was the expectation that she would grow after that. And there's that expectation for us too. We can't just say, well, this is all I know about God, and I'm going to serve Him based on that, and I'm never going to increase my knowledge unless I have the responsibility. So what's the point for us? The point is, act on the knowledge you have today, and act in faith, and grow, and make that commitment to grow, and to be a hero of the faith by learning more about God every day and acting on that every day. Thank you so much for your attention. Good afternoon. God bless you all. And please let us get to know you for a few minutes after worship. There's plenty here who speak English, and anybody that they're help you. Thank you so much. Good afternoon.
Let's stand and sing number 123.